Good morning. It's Monday morning. It's Monday morning. I'm pretty sure it's Monday morning. I am here in my favorite curtained location in Las Vegas, the Venetian. We come here so much as analysts that when something changes, it's actually kind of a shock. And I don't know, it probably shouldn't be, but they took out the juice bar. And anyone who's been at the Venetian this year, you guys know it's the juice bar that's next to Grand Lux. It's gone. Yeah, I was weirded out too. Anyway, it's been a wild couple of weeks. For those of you who don't know, I decided to do battle with a traffic cone like Don Quixote style, and then went flying over it, and then wow, got a shiner. Yeah, got a shiner, got a droopy eye to boot. It's been insane. I got a big old cut. So if you see one side of my face moving and the other side not, it's not Botox, I swear. So it's been crazy because having to admit that you are human and need rest and can't be on 100 all the time has been a challenge for me. I know that's shocking for those of you who know me. But it also forced me off the road. And I sadly missed the analyst summit for the CCAS company Five9. Missed out on a chance to say hey to a lot of good friends. But the team at Five9 was actually really, really kind. And they piped me in virtually. So thank you guys for that. Thank you so much. But I had 1 week off the road and then right back at it. And literally today, before this week of silly season kicks into high gear, this was the time I found to be able to come on, share some thoughts. So, what's going on out there? If any of you have been approached by vendors recently, you are likely hearing the P word a lot. I'm not even going to talk about the A and the I. I'm talking about the P word. And what do I mean by that? Platform. Everyone has gone into this mad frenzy to become a platform. And for some people, it feels like whiplash because a couple years ago, everyone wanted to be this best of breed suite of tools, right? And everyone would get into these arguments around, oh, it's a suite is better, a platform is better, a suite, platform, Debbie, the car. It's that scene from Bachelor Party. And if you are not old enough to know what that scene is, just trust me, go see the scene. It was amazing. And I didn't turn off the do not disturb. This is what happens on live feeds, everyone. You just hear everything that's going on. I clearly just got an email. Anyhow. Okay. So while we're around here dealing with whiplash of should we be in a platform, should we be in a suite of tools, we're also facing the realization that a lot of these calls for platforms are coming from very functionally specific, almost very tactically specific organizations. So now we got platforms all over the place. We're trying to jump between platforms. And trust me when I tell you, jumping over through things, not always a successful ending. So what do we have to start looking for? Well, in this call and this shift, there's something very ironic happening. And it's really happening because of AI. Let me explain. A bunch of years ago, remember the pandemic? Do we all remember that? When we all went home and some of us worked there for like ever and we haven't left. Work fundamentally changed, right? And in the pandemic, everyone really understood that you couldn't just stay in your centralized fiefdoms of functional excellence, right? You may have been in marketing, but because you had access to certain tools and certain systems, you also took on various functional tasks that may have very traditionally been managed by sales. This happened a lot in service. People in service, because they were on the phone with people, because they were in a live chat and live engagement with people, were actually better suited to ask about subscription renewals, to ask about extensions, to deliver recommended products. And it forced us to get real uncomfortable about what we thought and what we always assumed about our functional centers of excellence. where all things engagement had to happen in marketing, all things revenue, all things profit driving, all things growth driving had to happen in sales, right? All things service, all things answering, all things problem solving had to happen in service, right? And so this transfer of the customer from one functional fiefdom to another just became very common until it wasn't, and it couldn't. We had to actually be flexible with how we worked, what we were working on, why we were working on it. And because we had these tools that were very rigidly functionally focused, it was really hard to pivot. Were you going to get a marketer a full seat of a service solution just so they could be part of a social media strategy? Were you going to get service a full marketing seat because they were sending emails and they needed to send out branded content? So what we started to see were platforms became a necessity for architecture, for function, to allow data to flow into those singular streams that we all knew we needed to be able to function, but more importantly, that we were increasingly aware were a requirement for AI. But all of that also has driven an acknowledgement that there is a difference between formal and informal. And if you've ever heard me get up on a soapbox before, you've heard me talk about this. There are these centers of formal versus informal experience and engagement. In the contact center, we talk about it a lot. The formal contact center, the informal contact center. The formal contact center that used to be the big room with all the cubes and all the phones. Or even if you talk about the contact center, even when it went remote, there was a formal and an informal because there was always one person. There was like one person in finance that was really good at the outbound calls around collections. There were people in sales that were really good about those follow-ups, but they needed to have that automated dialer. They needed to have voice included in what their platforms and solutions were. And voice is hard. It remains hard. But now it remains more accessible. While it's still hard, it's not impossible. While it's hard, it's now available. So you can provision an informal contact center. And we've seen that in solutions that are brought out by companies like 8x8, where you can have someone in finance having a console that is very similar to what you may have for agents in the contact center, with all the data and all the information and all the connectivity of what you would want in a very lightweight, needs-specific CCaaS. That same thing, that same difference between formal and informal is happening with engagement. We've typically thought of the formal engagement center as marketing, right? They've got all the email tools, we've got all the omni-channel, we talk and live and breathe, and we've really pushed that conversation from cross-channel to multi-channel to omni-channel and personalization. I mean, we've lived that world for decades now. Everyone else is catching up, but we've been in it for years. And we have the tools and solutions and the platforms that give us the answers to those needs of our customers. But there are teams that need to be able to do that too. Contact center, again, perfect example. Contact center needs to be able to deploy an email campaign that fits within brand standards, that understands what else is happening across those emails that are going out from marketing. We can't allow engagement to be isolated to a function anymore. And that's what I've seen on the road. And I think that's what's the interesting thing here. Vendors like SAP, and arguably we'll probably see it with Salesforce this week, certainly saw the glimmers of it with AWS in talking with the team at AWS and Amazon Connect. But let's talk about SAP real quick. SAP CX has notoriously been those three clouds, right? Sales, service, marketing, right? We'll say the same thing about Oracle. Sales, service, marketing, and they fit neatly into those functional columns. But now we're seeing solutions and we're seeing tools and we're seeing a ton of announcements, right? SAP last week, we'll see it at Oracle this week, where you have the capacity to sell from anywhere. You don't have to be in the sales team, the sales department, sitting on the sales cloud. You should be able to drive margin, profit, revenue, growth from where you sit. If that's part of your job, if that's what you took on, hey, maybe it was one of those tasks you took on during COVID. You should be able to take it on, right? What do we see from teams like Adobe? We see things like Adobe Express. You should be able to create, you should be able to manage content, you should be able to access brand content from wherever you sit. If I'm in the contact center and I need to be able to create personalized branded content that is right for that thank you email that you want to send to your customer, you should have access to it. Tools like Adobe Express give you that without the full power seat of a massive creative cloud that you've suddenly now got to go learn, right? With SAP CX, we see the same thing. We see that platform that is composable in architecture, so it can easily become part of a larger stack. It can fit into those visions of having platforms of platforms that all connect together. Thank you, ServiceNow, for that one. But it also allows you to think of things like engagement. So with the announcement of Engagement Cloud, it takes the best of the best from tools like Emarsys within the SAP portfolio and right sizes it so that the functional silo of marketing is not a barrier to create engagements, regardless of where you are in the organization. Same with the service solution, same with the sales solution. AWS Connect is, Amazon Connect, pardon me, is a contact center solution. But it also has engagement tools where you can start to see how Connect, when applied as the use case of contact center, is a powerful contact center tool. But what if we expand our understanding of where connection happens? Does Connect have different use cases that can span across marketing, can span across sales? It spans across the outcome. So this shift from clouds to platforms, yes, it's built on outcome-specific tools and applications, focused on engagement, focused on servicing, focused on selling. And here's the fun bit. The second round of announcements that we've all been hearing are talking about functionally specific AI, role-specific AI that connects all of these platforms and all of these functions together. So now that I've been able to manage to get that out of my brain, I can now go and have some fun with the teams at Oracle and Salesforce this week. We'll bring you stuff on that later, but start asking questions about that. Start asking questions about, are your views of function so rigid that the action, the outcome, is actually getting stuck? Okay, that's it. Go have breakfast, maybe a cup of coffee.